Don't ever take her to a doctor. I felt a strange swelling in my 10-year-old daughter's stomach. When I tried to rush her to the hospital, my husband yelled and blocked our way. I thought, why is he panicking like this? Could there be something wrong that would make a medical checkup a bad idea for my husband, who seemed unusually frantic? When I took my daughter to the hospital without telling him, the doctor told us a diagnosis I never expected. Moreover, the shocking truth spoken by my daughter made me tremble with anger. I can't forgive this. It was directed towards my husband, whom I thought loved our daughter dearly. After all, I had never imagined that he could do such a thing. John and I met while working at the toy company my father managed, where we started as colleagues and later married. Our marriage led to my resignation, and a year later, I discovered I was pregnant. However, not everything was smooth sailing. This occurred when I was 9 months pregnant. John. What's the meaning of this? Why are you so mad? Look at this bank book. You have nothing to say? That. John had withdrawn $3,000 from our family savings, which we had started after getting married. Our child will be born soon, and we need money. What did you spend such a large amount on? My anger was hard to calm as we had been saving every month for the future. I spent it on cartoon merchandise. There was some things of my favorite character that I just had to have. John spoke awkwardly and hesitantly, which made my anger reach its peak. Huh? Cartoons? We're about to have a larger family. And this is what you're thinking about? We're getting a divorce. Wait, just wait a minute. Let's calm down, okay? My husband was frantic, trying to appease me. I am calm enough. Who do you think is the reason I'm so upset? Do you even realize you're going to be a parent? I'm sorry. I'll never do this again, please forgive me. Seeing my husband plead with clasped hands, my anger began to subside a little. I then regretted having impulsively mentioned a divorce. Thinking of our unborn child, the idea of raising it alone was daunting, and I decided to forgive John. Since then, he seemed to reflect on the matter, keeping his hobbies to an extent he could afford with his pocket money. Soon after, the day came for me to give birth. Our daughter, who was born 10 years ago weighing 81 ounces and was slightly small, is now a 4th grader. I was worried about her slow growth compared to her peers when she was younger. But it turned out to be an unnecessary worry. I might get taller than Mom soon. Nicole, innocently smiling, has grown rapidly in height since entering elementary school. And it looks like she might actually become taller than me. Because she looks more mature for her age, people sometimes mistake her for a middle schooler. As for my husband, he lacked a sense of responsibility as a father for a while after Nicole was born, only reluctantly doing what I told him to do. It was around the time when Nicole began to become aware of her surroundings that he suddenly became interested in her and actively participated in childcare. John, who dotes on his only daughter, and Nicole, who adores her father, have a great relationship. All right, Nicole. After we take a bath together today, let's eat some ice cream without telling Mom. Yes. Let's do that. Daddy, let's go to the bath quickly. Hey. Mom can hear everything, you know? It wasn't just baths, they also used to sleep in the same bed since she was small. And I found that sight quite endearing. However, there was an incident that made me think it might be better to stop this habit. It happened one day during a tea party with a mom friend. Recently, my daughter has started to really dislike her dad. It's been tough. Is that so? What's it like? She tells him he stinks and to stay away from her in such a forceful tone. So it really gets him down. That must be sad for him. As for us, she still loves her dad a lot. They still take baths together and sleep together. Really? Is that true? At the moment I spoke, seeing my friend's reaction made me realize this might not be a normal thing. Is this strange? It might not be strange, but my husband stopped bathing with her around the end of second grade because he felt it was embarrassing. Is that so? But my daughter is already 10 and her body is rapidly becoming more feminine. Nicole does look mature. But it's nice that she loves her dad. Her attempt to comfort me as I unexpectedly pondered was clear. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. So, that night, I discussed it with John. Hey, until what age do you plan to keep bathing and sleeping with Nicole? Huh? Why are you suddenly asking that? But,
Yeah.
as long as possible, I guess. Are you serious? A friend's husband stopped before their daughter was in third grade because he felt embarrassed. So what? Other families are different. Nicole loves me, so it's fine. He didn't seem to take it seriously or give it much thought. I thought, but I wonder if there will come a time when Nicole naturally starts to avoid her father. She doesn't seem to dislike him, so I thought I'd just watch how things go for a while. However, I would later regret not thinking deeper about it at this time. A few weeks later, one morning. Nicole, good morning. Hurry up or you'll be late. Good morning. What happened there? My daughter's pajamas were oddly disheveled. It had happened before, but this day she also seemed to lack energy. Pale, and her expression was somber. Nicole, are you okay? Do you feel sick? Is something wrong? No, I'm fine. Maybe I'm just hungry. I've been really hungry lately. Maybe it's a growing phase? While trying to appear cheerful, my daughter forced a smile. Her behavior seemed to hint she was hiding something, which bothered me. If you ever have any trouble, you can always tell Mom.
Yeah.
Understood. My daughter briefly looked down but then quickly showed a smile and began eating her breakfast. Following this incident, a change began to occur in my daughter. From that day onwards, she seemed to subtly start avoiding John. Nicole, what should we talk about while we're in bed tonight? I think I might sleep with Mom tonight. I have a lot of things I want to talk to her about. You can talk to Mom anytime, right? Dad's got work, so bedtime is really the only time I get to talk to you.
Yeah.
That's true, but... My daughter averted her eyes from her father and fell silent. We promised to have a girls' talk today, right? Dad, please another time. When I playfully offered to help Nicole, John clicked his tongue and left the living room. Are you okay? It's all right to say no to Dad if you don't want to.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mom. Even though Nicole continued to avoid him, John still tried to get her to bathe with him or go to bed together. Nicole is going through puberty, it might be better to stop pressuring her. I subtly warned my husband, but he had a frightening look on his face. I was happy to see Nicole reaching an age where she could naturally dislike her father as any child might. But it seemed that my husband and I did not share the same view. Well, it might be understandable for a father who had been very close to his daughter to find it hard to let go, so I wasn't too worried about it. Months later, I was shocked when I saw Nicole in the morning. Her lower abdomen was unusually swollen. Nicole, what's with your stomach? Huh, what do you mean? She didn't seem concerned at all, but it was clearly not normal. Hey, you need to look at this. We should take her to the hospital, shouldn't we? In a panic, I called my husband, who was getting ready in the bathroom, to show him Nicole's swollen belly. Don't ever take her to a doctor. After a moment of surprise, he suddenly shouted and started to panic. But this swelling isn't normal at all. Just don't go to the doctor. Don't you dare take her. John emphasized this repeatedly and then went off to work. I thought, something is wrong. However, I couldn't just not take her to the hospital. While I felt responsible for not noticing sooner, I couldn't afford to wait in case something was seriously wrong with her. Nicole, we're going to the hospital now, get ready. But Dad said not to go. Don't worry about that, it'll be fine. I quickly put my daughter in the car and headed to the hospital. Nicole, it's okay. Everything's going to be okay. Upon arriving at the hospital, I comforted my suddenly anxious daughter as we waited for our turn. During this time, I touched her abdomen again and noticed it was noticeably swollen in the lower area. Mom, I'm sorry for keeping quiet. I've been feeling sick and haven't been able to eat much recently. It seems like there's something in my stomach. The dreadful thought that she might be pregnant crossed my mind. But Nicole is only 10 years old. And if that were the case, the other party involved would be. The moment I started that thought, my spine chilled. Soon, the examination was over, and the doctor presented us with a surprising result. If I had been paying closer attention to you, this wouldn't have happened. I'm sorry. No, it's not your fault, Mom. But, Dad. Eventually, Nicole began to reveal bits and pieces of what had happened to her. The shocking truths that came from her mouth. As I rubbed the back of a crying Nicole, I was overwhelmed with anger at my husband and an indescribable feeling of disgust. I thought, I will never forgive him for doing such a thing to our daughter. I resolved to make my husband regret his actions no matter what. Upon returning home, I immediately checked John's study. Then made a phone call to a certain place. Next, I emailed my husband. I will be late tonight because of a neighborhood association meeting. Nicole is unwell and resting. With everything prepared, I left Nicole at my parents' house and waited at home for my husband's return. As he was due to come back, I pretended to be Nicole, hiding under her bed covers. I'm home. John returned home earlier than usual, seemingly in a good mood. He went straight to his room, picked something up, and then entered Nicole's room. Believing Nicole was in the bed, he stood by the bedside and began to stroke over the covers. I thought, just as I thought. He's the worst. While I quietly hid under the covers to avoid detection, he continued to touch me. And I felt nothing but disgust. Nicole, I heard you're not feeling well. Are you okay? I shook my head under the covers, and then my husband started to speak in a coaxing tone. Come on, show your face to Daddy. Seeing Daddy's face might make you feel better, right? John kept talking persistently, and even tried to forcefully pull away the covers. For a while, it became a struggle between my holding the covers tightly and my husband trying to see my face. Come on, you don't need to be shy. You've been so cold lately, Daddy has been lonely. His voice was sweet, more like he was speaking to a lover than to his daughter. And I had goosebumps while I tried to endure it. Since Mom will be home late today, we have plenty of time to do what we usually do, right? Unable to stand his creepy voice any longer, I threw off the covers and sat up. What usual thing? What are you planning to take your time with? What? Nicole. What's suddenly gotten into you? My husband stumbled backward in shock, fell down. And the items he was holding scattered across the floor. Then, seeing that it was me standing in front of him, he suddenly panicked. Why are you here, Cindy? What about the neighborhood meeting? Where's Nicole?
Ah.
That was a lie. I had to do this to see your true self. Huh? How can you do such a thing? Please, say whatever you like. I was surprised that my husband believed the content of the email and acted just as I had anticipated. Just as I expected, he was completely fooled and revealed his true nature. Hey. Explain what you were trying to do. I'm the one who wants an explanation. What is this exactly? Are you planning to put Nicole in these? I had just pointed out something that my husband had dropped on the floor and questioned him about it. John seemed to have completely forgotten about it and hurriedly gathered them up tightly. This is, it's a present for Nicole. I thought it might suit her, so I bought it. Really? Unable to withstand my gaze, he started sweating profusely. But this is a cosplay costume, isn't it? What my husband was holding was indeed a costume of a cartoon character that seemed to be favored by men. Moreover, the shoulders and chest area were largely exposed, and the skirt was extremely short. You call this a gift? I doubt your taste. This is. Nicole once said it was cute and wanted to try it on. My husband was stammering, sweating profusely. But that's a sexy character from a late-night cartoon. There's no way she would watch something like that. Well. John then fell silent and did not try to answer anything further. Moreover, were you planning to make Nicole wear this and take photos? At my accusation, my husband visibly paled. Not really. But, I mean, if I could take a photo as a keepsake, I would like to. Oh, so you've always been doing this? I thrust an album in front of him. It was something that seemed important. Tucked away in the back of the closet when I checked his study. It was filled with many cosplay photos. Hey! Don't touch my treasure with your filthy hands. John, who had until now been speaking hesitantly, suddenly changed his attitude. Pushed me away, and grabbed the album. Ouch. What are you doing? There's no need to be so rough. It's because you arbitrarily took my stuff. Basically, it's all your fault. It's because of you. Huh? Where did this come from? While holding the album close, he glared at me. Because it is. It's all your fault for restricting my hobbies. Furthermore, my husband started complaining that he couldn't afford to buy merchandise of his favorite cartoon characters with just his allowance, and that he hardly had the chance to go to events. Moreover, right after our child was born, I was forced to babysit and even had my cartoon watching time taken away. I was dumbfounded by my husband's arguments. Yet, he continued to make his case. But it was exciting to see Nicole grow up so fast and start to look more and more like my favorite characters. As he lovingly gazed at the album, I felt disgusted. Don't joke around. Do you know how distressed Nicole has been? She's only 10 and has been through such scary experiences. Indeed, on the way back from the hospital, I had heard this story from my daughter. My husband had been making her wear cosplay and taking photos of her at night when he slept with Nicole. Initially, she was happy to wear cute clothes. But recently she had become increasingly uncomfortable with the revealing outfits. So, Nicole had said she didn't want to wear them anymore, but my husband had not listened at all. Moreover, I was shocked to find out that John had been posting the photos on social media. Since then, Nicole had become scared. I checked his computer and saw clearly that the photos lined up were of a girl who was unmistakably not yet an adult, though her face was not shown clearly. Don't look at people's stuff without permission. Then you should have put a password on it. I was able to see it as soon as I opened the computer. As my husband bit his lip in frustration, I pressed on. Moreover, you've been making a considerable amount of money selling those photos. Haven't you? Poor Nicole. A classmate found a cosplay photo online and showed it to her, saying it looked like Nicole. She was quite shocked. Nicole had been sworn to secrecy about the photos by John. So she had been carrying this burden all alone. Because of this, Nicole's stomach is. What? She's not pregnant, is she? But I don't know anything about it. It has nothing to do with me. Instead of worrying about his daughter, my husband only cared about himself. He's truly the worst. No. Nicole has become severely constipated from all the stress she's been under. The unusual swelling in my daughter's stomach was due to constipation caused by stress. When the doctor told us at the hospital, I was relieved, but at the same time, I deeply regretted not being able to notice how much suffering my daughter was enduring. You took her to the hospital. I told you not to let her be seen by a doctor. Were you worried she might say something during the examination? Grr. The fact that my husband had nothing to say back must mean I hit the mark. I silently presented him with the divorce papers, and he momentarily showed a shocked expression. Divorce. Well, I guess divorce can't be helped, but I'll be taking custody of Nicole. Huh? What are you talking about? Because Nicole is attached to me. I earn more, so I can definitely take custody. Even at this point, he smirked, thinking he could still manipulate the situation to his advantage. You really overestimate yourself. But she's already said she doesn't want to see Daddy anymore. Don't lie. That can't be true. I pulled out my phone and showed him a message from Nicole that read, "I hate Daddy." That's a lie. She loves me. She's my Nicole. Suddenly, John began throwing things around the room in a frenzy. His behavior was comical, like a child who has had his toys taken away and is throwing a tantrum. I thought it was pointless to stop him, so I just watched in disgust. It's your fault. I'll never forgive you. A few minutes later, when there was nothing left to throw, he glared at me. But his childish behavior only made me sigh. I thought, to think that my husband could be such a scumbag. But I can't back down when it comes to protecting my precious daughter. I've already told my parents about the divorce and the reasons for it. You should explain it to your parents yourself. Shall I tell them the truth without twisting it? What? Wait. Your dad already knows about this? That's what I'm saying. This is a problem within our family. Your parents shouldn't be involved. Why do you always do whatever you want? As he angrily paced the room, scratching his head, my father suddenly entered. It's certainly our concern. Nicole is our precious granddaughter. At that moment, the room's door opened, and my father entered, causing John to jump in surprise. Father. The presence of my father, who is also the president of John's company, suddenly made my previously assertive husband shrink. First, as the president of your company, I must say this. Our company makes toys that excite children. But we don't need an employee who treats children like products. You're fired. No. President. Please, not that. Despite my husband's panic about losing his job, my father continued to speak without care. Next, as Nicole's grandfather. Enough is enough. It's disgusting that you would look at your own daughter in such a way. I'm sorry. Please. I promise it won't happen again. Please. John, in his panic, even went as far as to kneel and beg for my father's forgiveness. Cindy. Please, say something to your father. Convince him. Thinking he couldn't handle it alone, my husband pleaded to me. We are getting a divorce and will be strangers. So whatever happens to you is none of my business anymore. The company matters are for my father to decide. Don't be so cold. We've been married for over 10 years, haven't we? Unfortunately, that's true. As I sighed, my husband seemed to hope for forgiveness and moved closer to me. I regret not divorcing you when I found out you were misusing our savings. Before Nicole was born. I pushed John away and placed the divorce papers in front of him again. But he suddenly became defiant. I won't divorce. I take back what I said earlier. It's okay, because you haven't signed there yet. What? What are you talking about? No matter what you say. My decision to divorce is firm, you're wasting your time. Even as I refused, my husband approached me and finally kneeled down. Let's talk this over calmly, Cindy. If we talk, we'll understand each other eventually. No, I'm telling you it's impossible. Still persistent, my husband clung to me, crying. Then, what if I said I'd give up this hobby? Would you forgive me then? Please forgive me. At this point, I could only regret ever marrying someone who was so selfish. I'm sick of it always being about you. Think about how deep the scars are on Nicole's heart. Compared to that, your firing is nothing. But, still. Even as I looked at him coldly, he continued to whine and complain. Stop making excuses and rationalizing. There's no way I can forgive you for involving our precious daughter in your hobby. And treating her like a product. Goodbye. Unable to say anything back, John slumped to the floor and cried. Later, the divorce with John was finalized. I made him delete all the photos of our daughter he had taken. I demanded a one-time payment of $100,000 from my husband as compensation. For the emotional damage to our daughter and for child support. Following my father's declaration, he was fired from his company. Rumors circulated in the company due to his sudden departure, but eventually, those too faded. And John, who was never much good at his job, was completely forgotten. Struggling with debts to pay the compensation, John is now juggling multiple part-time jobs. Meanwhile, my daughter and I moved back to my parents' home and started a new life. Nicole is now smiling more and spends her days energetically, attending school cheerfully. As her mother, I intend to continue protecting my daughter,